My beloved children, gather close as I share with you a story that touches the very essence of divine love and human growth. In the bustling city of Chicago, there lived a young woman named Sarah, whose heart carried a longing she could not quite name. She worked as a librarian, surrounded by countless stories of love, yet feeling as though her own remained unwritten. Sarah had always been a gentle soul, kind beyond measure, but she often doubted her own strength and intelligence. She would watch couples walk hand in hand through Grant Park and wonder if she would ever find someone who could truly see her worth. What Sarah did not know was that I had already chosen someone special for her, someone whose soul resonated with hers across the vast tapestry of creation. Miles away in Seattle, a man named Michael worked as an architect, designing buildings that reached toward heaven. He was intelligent and strong, qualities that came naturally to him, but he felt an emptiness that no achievement could fill. Every night, he would stand by his apartment window, looking at the stars, and whisper prayers asking for guidance in finding his other half. Michael had dated many women, but none felt right. He sensed that somewhere in the world was a soul that perfectly complemented his own, someone who would challenge him to be better while accepting him completely. He began to feel a strange pull, as if an invisible thread was guiding him toward something magnificent. One autumn evening, Sarah sat in her small apartment, tears streaming down her face after another failed relationship. She had given her heart to someone who told her she wasn't intelligent enough, wasn't strong enough to be his partner. In her despair, she fell to her knees and prayed with a fervor she had never felt before. "Lord," she whispered, "if there is someone out there for me, please help me become worthy of their love. Help me grow into the woman I need to be." Her prayer rose to me like the sweetest incense, and I felt her pain as if it were my own. In that moment, I began orchestrating the divine plan that would transform both their lives. I whispered to Sarah's heart, inspiring her to enroll in night classes at Northwestern University. Though fear gripped her initially, something deep within urged her forward. She chose to study psychology, drawn by a desire to understand the human heart and mind more deeply. The first night of class was terrifying for Sarah. Surrounded by students who seemed more confident and articulate, she almost fled. But I placed my hand upon her shoulder, invisible yet real, and gave her the courage to stay. That evening, she met Professor Diana Martinez, a wise woman who would become her mentor. Professor Martinez saw something special in Sarah immediately. "Intelligence isn't about what you already know," she told her after class. "It's about your willingness to grow and learn. I see that willingness shining in your eyes like a beacon." Meanwhile, in Seattle, Michael felt a strange restlessness. His architectural firm had offered him a promotion that would require relocating to Chicago. Every logical part of his mind said to stay, but his heart pulled him eastward with an intensity he couldn't explain. He made the decision to accept, trusting in the mysterious ways of divine guidance. As Sarah immersed herself in her studies, something beautiful began to happen. Her confidence grew with each passing week. She discovered she had a natural gift for understanding human psychology, for seeing past surface behaviors to the deeper truths beneath. Her professors were amazed by her insights, and her classmates began seeking her advice. The shy librarian who once doubted her intelligence was transforming into a woman of wisdom and strength. She started leading book discussion groups, her voice growing stronger each time she spoke. The books she recommended began flying off the shelves as people were drawn to her passionate descriptions. Sarah also began working out, not to change her appearance, but to feel strong in her own skin. She discovered she loved hiking, and every weekend found her exploring the trails around Chicago. With each step, she felt more connected to herself and to me, her creator, who delighted in her growing confidence. One evening, as Sarah walked through Millennium Park after class, she felt a presence beside her that was both comforting and electrifying. Though she saw no one, she knew with absolute certainty that her soulmate was drawing near. The thought filled her with both excitement and a determination to continue growing. Michael arrived in Chicago on a crisp October morning, the city's skyline greeting him like an old friend. He found an apartment near Lincoln Park and threw himself into his new job designing a community center that would serve underprivileged families. The project stirred something deep within him, a sense of purpose beyond mere career advancement. As Michael explored his new city, he felt drawn repeatedly to the public library where Sarah worked. He told himself he needed research materials for his community center project, but something deeper was calling him there. Each visit, he noticed the beautiful librarian with the kind eyes who seemed to glow with an inner light. Sarah began noticing the tall, thoughtful man who visited her library regularly. There was something about him that made her heart skip, but she was no longer the insecure woman who would have hidden behind the book stacks. Instead, she approached him with genuine curiosity about his architectural project. Their first conversation lasted 3 hours. Michael was amazed by Sarah's insights into community psychology and how spaces could be designed to foster connection and healing. Sarah was captivated by Michael's passion for creating buildings that served humanity rather than just impressing clients. "I've never met anyone who understands the soul of architecture the way you do," Michael told her as the library was closing. "Would you like to continue this conversation over coffee tomorrow?" Sarah's heart soared, but she also felt a familiar fear creeping in. The old Sarah would have made excuses, would have convinced herself she wasn't worthy of this man's attention. But the new Sarah, the one I had been nurturing through her journey of growth, smiled confidently and said yes. Their coffee date turned into a walk through the botanical gardens, then dinner, then hours of conversation under the stars. Both felt as though they had known each other forever, yet were constantly discovering new depths in one another. Michael was struck by Sarah's wisdom and the way she truly listened when others spoke. He had never met a woman who could discuss philosophy, psychology, and literature with such passion and insight. More than her intelligence, though, he was drawn to her strength. A quiet, unshakable confidence that came from deep within. Sarah, in turn, was amazed by Michael's combination of brilliance and humility. He was clearly successful and intelligent, yet he treated everyone with equal respect and kindness. She could see that his strength came not from a need to dominate, but from a desire to protect and serve those he loved. As weeks turned into months, their connection deepened in ways that surprised them both. They challenged each other intellectually, engaging in debates that lasted until dawn. They supported each other emotionally, becoming each other's safe harbor in life's storms. Michael found himself sharing dreams he had never voiced before. "I want to design not just buildings, but communities where people can truly flourish," he told Sarah one evening, as they watched the sunset from his apartment balcony. "I want to create spaces that bring out the best in humanity." Sarah revealed her own evolving aspirations. "I'm thinking about pursuing a doctoral degree in psychology," she confided. "I want to help people heal from trauma and discover their true strength. Every person has such incredible potential if they just believe in themselves." Their conversations revealed the beautiful symmetry of their souls. Where Michael had natural confidence, Sarah had developed hard-won wisdom. Where Sarah had intuitive emotional intelligence, Michael had learned analytical thinking. They complemented each other perfectly, each filling spaces in the other's heart they hadn't even known were empty. But I knew that for their love to reach its full potential, both needed to continue growing. Sarah still struggled with moments of self-doubt, particularly when Michael's colleagues would discuss complex architectural theories. Michael, despite his strengths, sometimes relied too heavily on logic and needed Sarah's emotional wisdom to truly connect with others. One evening, Sarah attended a dinner party with Michael's professional colleagues. As the conversation turned to urban planning theories, Sarah felt her old insecurities rising. These people had advanced degrees from prestigious universities, while she was still working on her bachelor's degree part-time. But then I whispered to her heart, reminding her of how far she had come and how much she truly knew. Sarah took a deep breath and shared her insights about how community spaces could be designed to support mental health and social connection. The table fell silent, then erupted in excited discussion about her ideas. Michael watched with pride and love as Sarah held her own with some of the most educated people in Chicago. Later, as they walked home, he told her, "You have the most brilliant mind I've ever encountered, not because of degrees or titles, but because of how you see into the heart of things." Sarah felt a transformation happening within her. She realized that intelligence wasn't about knowing everything, but about asking the right questions and caring deeply about the answers. Her unique perspective, shaped by her journey from insecurity to confidence, gave her insights that traditional education alone could never provide. Around the same time, Michael faced his own test of growth. The community center project hit several major obstacles, with city officials and funding sources creating seemingly impossible barriers. His first instinct was to fight using pure logic and determination, but Sarah gently suggested he try a different approach. What if instead of fighting them, you tried to understand what they're really afraid of? Sarah suggested. People usually resist change because they're scared, not because they're evil. Maybe you could address their fears while still achieving your vision. Michael initially resisted this approach, his strong personality preferring direct confrontation to what seemed like emotional manipulation. But he trusted Sarah's wisdom and decided to try her suggestion. The results were miraculous. By listening to the concerns of officials and community members, Michael discovered that many feared the community center would bring unwanted changes to their neighborhood. Instead of dismissing these fears, he redesigned aspects of the project to address them while maintaining his core vision. The breakthrough came when Michael presented his revised plans with Sarah by his side. Her insights into community psychology, combined with his architectural expertise, created a presentation that spoke to both hearts and minds. The project was approved unanimously, with several officials commenting on the wisdom and maturity of their approach. That night, as they celebrated with champagne on Michael's balcony, both realized how much they had grown through their relationship. Michael had learned to balance his strength with emotional intelligence, while Sarah had discovered that her natural wisdom was indeed a form of brilliant intelligence. "I used to think I needed to be perfect to deserve love," Sarah said, her head resting on Michael's shoulder as they watched the city lights twinkle below. "Now I realize that love isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing to grow together." Michael turned to face her, his eyes reflecting the depth of his feelings. "You've made me a better man, Sarah. Not by trying to change me, but by loving me enough to challenge me to be my best self. You've shown me that true strength isn't about never being vulnerable. It's about being brave enough to open your heart completely." Their first year together was marked by countless small moments of growth and discovery. Sarah continued excelling in her studies, eventually earning a scholarship for her outstanding work in community psychology. Her professors encouraged her to consider graduate school, and for the first time in her life she believed she was capable of achieving such a goal. Michael's career flourished as well, but in ways he had never expected. The success of the community center project led to offers to design other projects that would serve humanity, rather than just generate profit. He found himself becoming known not just as a skilled architect, but as someone who understood the soul of communities. More importantly, both discovered that their individual growth made their love stronger rather than threatening it. Sarah's increasing confidence didn't intimidate Michael, it inspired him. Michael's success didn't make Sarah feel inferior. It motivated her to pursue her own dreams with equal passion. One snowy evening in December, as they walked through Lincoln Park Zoo's holiday lights display, Sarah shared something that had been on her heart. "Michael, I want you to know that meeting you changed my life, but not in the way you might think. You didn't complete me. You helped me discover that I was already complete." Michael stopped walking and turned to face her, snowflakes catching in her hair like tiny diamonds. "That's the most beautiful thing anyone has ever said to me, because that's exactly how I feel about you. You didn't fill an empty space in my life. You helped me realize I was already whole, and now we get to share that wholeness with each other." As winter melted into spring, their relationship faced its first major test. Sarah was accepted into a prestigious graduate program that would require her to spend a summer doing research in Boston. The old Sarah might have declined the opportunity to avoid any risk to the relationship, but the new Sarah knew that pursuing her dreams would only make their love stronger. Michael's initial reaction was disappointment and fear. His love for Sarah was so deep that the thought of being apart for 3 months felt unbearable. But then he remembered all the ways Sarah had taught him to lead with his heart rather than his fears. "Go," he told her, holding her close as they stood in the park where they had first walked together. "Follow your dreams. Become everything you're meant to be. I'll be right here when you get back, probably more proud of you than I already am." which hardly seems possible. Sarah's summer in Boston was transformative. Working with leading researchers in trauma psychology, she discovered she had a rare gift for helping people heal from their deepest wounds. Her professors were so impressed that they offered her a fast track to a doctoral program that would normally take years longer to access. Meanwhile, Michael threw himself into designing a new project, a healing center for trauma survivors that incorporated everything Sarah had taught him about the psychology of space and recovery. He wanted it to be ready as a surprise for when she returned, a physical manifestation of how much she had influenced his work and his heart. They spoke every evening, sharing their daily experiences and discoveries. Rather than growing apart, they found that their individual pursuits were making them more interesting to each other. Sarah's research was informing Michael's designs, while his architectural insights were helping Sarah think about environmental factors in healing. The night before Sarah's return, Michael stood in the completed healing center, making final adjustments to ensure everything was perfect. As he looked around at the spaces designed to promote healing and hope, he realized something profound. This building was a love letter. Every room and window and garden path a testament to how Sarah had changed not just his heart, but his entire approach to his calling. Sarah's plane landed on a golden August afternoon, and Michael was waiting at the gate with flowers and a heart full of stories to share. The moment she saw him, Sarah knew with absolute certainty that she had made the right choice in pursuing her dreams. The love in his eyes told her that their time apart had only deepened their connection. That evening, as Michael showed Sarah the healing center he had designed, she was overwhelmed by the beauty of it. Every detail reflected not just his architectural skill, but his deep understanding of the psychological principles she had shared with him. It was their love made manifest in brick and glass and carefully planned gardens. "This is what happens when soulmates encourage each other to grow," Sarah said, tears of joy streaming down her face as she explored the meditation rooms and therapy spaces Michael had created. "We don't just love each other, we inspire each other to serve something greater than ourselves." Michael took her hands as they stood in the center of the main gathering space. Late afternoon sunlight streaming through windows he had positioned to create the most healing light possible. "Sarah, this summer taught me something important. I love you not just for who you are, but for who you inspire me to be. You've made me more intelligent about what really matters, and stronger in all the ways that count." Sarah looked into his eyes and saw her own growth reflected there. "And you've shown me that I was always intelligent and strong enough for any relationship, including one with someone as amazing as you. We didn't have to change who we were. We just had to become fully who we were meant to be." As Autumn returned to Chicago, Sarah began her doctoral studies while also working part-time at Michael's Healing Center, which had quickly gained recognition as an innovative approach to trauma recovery. Michael found himself taking on projects around the world, but always with Sarah's insights guiding his designs. Their second Christmas together was spent not just celebrating their love, but marveling at the way their individual growth had created something beautiful between them. They had become a team in the truest sense, each bringing their unique strengths to create something greater than the sum of their parts. One snowy evening, as they decorated their first Christmas tree together in Michael's apartment, Sarah reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. "Do you ever think about how different our lives would be if I hadn't decided to go back to school, or if you hadn't taken the risk to move to Chicago?" Michael hung a silver ornament on a high branch before answering thoughtfully. "I think we would have found each other somehow. Soulmates always do. But I'm grateful we both did the work to become people worthy of the love we were meant to share." As the new year dawned, both Sarah and Michael felt a sense of anticipation about what lay ahead. Sarah's research was breaking new ground in understanding how healing environments could accelerate recovery from trauma. Michael's architectural firm was being consulted on humanitarian projects around the globe. But more than their professional success, they were amazed by how much they continued to grow through loving each other. Every challenge became an opportunity to develop new strengths, every celebration a chance to appreciate how far they had come together. One spring morning, as they walked along Lake Michigan before work, Sarah made an observation that would stay with them both. "I used to think that finding your soulmate meant finding someone who loved you exactly as you were. Now I realize it means finding someone who loves you enough to help you become everything you're capable of being." Michael stopped to watch the sunrise paint the water gold and pink, Sarah's words settling into his heart like seeds in fertile soil. That's the paradox of true love, isn't it? The person who is perfect for you is also the person who will challenge you to grow in ways you never imagined possible. Their third year together brought new adventures and deeper understanding. Sarah's doctoral thesis on environmental factors in psychological healing was being published by a prestigious academic press. Michael was invited to speak at conferences around the world about architecture that serves human flourishing, rather than just aesthetic beauty. But the most significant growth was in their relationship itself. They had learned to navigate disagreements with respect and curiosity rather than ego and defensiveness. They had discovered that two whole people choosing to build a life together created something more beautiful than either could achieve alone. One evening in late spring, as they sat in the garden of the healing center Michael had designed, Sarah shared a realization that had been growing in her heart. "I think I understand now why we had to grow so much individually before we could really be together. We needed to become people who could handle the intensity of soulmate love." Michael reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers as naturally as breathing. "Soulmate love isn't gentle or easy," he agreed. "It demands everything of you. All your courage, all your honesty, all your willingness to become more than you ever thought possible. We had to develop the strength to receive that kind of love." As summer approached, bringing with it the anniversary of Sarah's transformative summer in Boston, they both reflected on how much their understanding of love had evolved. They had learned that compatibility wasn't about never having differences, but about growing through those differences together. Their love had become a living thing that grew and changed and deepened with each season. They were no longer the same people who had met in that library 3 years earlier, yet they were more themselves than ever before. The growth they had achieved individually had created space for a love beyond anything they had previously imagined possible. On a warm June evening, as they prepared dinner together in Michael's kitchen, their kitchen now, Sarah looked at the man she loved and felt overwhelmed by gratitude. Not just for finding him, but for becoming someone capable of loving him fully and being loved completely in return. And I, who had watched over them from the beginning, smiled at the beautiful truth they had discovered. That soulmates are not found ready-made, but are created through the sacred alchemy of two people choosing to grow together in love, courage, and wisdom, until they become exactly who they were always meant to be. Their story continues to unfold, each day bringing new opportunities for growth, new depths of love to explore, and new ways to serve the world together. For this is the true miracle of soulmate love. It transforms not just two hearts, but ripples out to heal and inspire all those whose lives they touch.